Let's go through the product features. Once the user logins, the landing page shows the various graphical analysis of the data of latest cycle. Both amount and quantity data analysis are available. The top left corner shows the admin task links and help menu for quick reference of various UI features. The left side shows all the links for executing reserve process. Before demonstrating one cycle run, let's look at the Reserve Rule Setup screen. Reserve Type tab shows all inventory reserve types. One can add or remove reserves entry. Reserve Activity tab shows various reserve activities and corresponding reserve types. The tool allows the users to change priority of flow, remove, or add data. Tool also has the capability to add or remove the various EBS transactions types affecting inventory and the corresponding reserve activity. It also has the capability to add and remove various EBS demand types used for provisioning analysis. Additional rules define various rules governing engine behavior. Last, Profile tab defines various engine parameters like GL profiles and file upload path, etc. iReserves Organization Setup page facilitates to define the orgs and corresponding sub-inventories enabled for the reserve calculations. These are the sub-inventories enabled for the M1 org and corresponding reserve types for each sub-inventory. Add and remove options are also provided. Reserve calculations can be disabled at org level, and if multiple operating units present, then disabling at operating unit level also possible. iReserves Account Setup screen facilitates to define accounts at all these levels, and for each reserve type there exists a balance sheet and expense account. Users can add and remove reserve accounts. Next step is to collect the master data. Master data can be collected in three modes: complete, target, and incremental. Choosing incremental mode, which brings only incremental changes of these entities from last run. Once launched, status can be monitored in the Status tab. Once the master data is done, next step is to collect material transactions for reserve analysis. This marks the start of the new cycle, represented by a unique name. After launching, status can be checked in Status tab. Status would be checked as shown when program is completed. Apart from collecting material transactions from source, it also copies final reserve balance from the last cycle as opening balance of current cycle. When queried for current cycle, transfer of reserve balance from last cycle can be observed. Optionally, Product facilitates to override the data by loading the new data from a reserve flat file. Status indicates new data is loaded. Demand data for provisioning process is loaded through flat file. ASP of item for low-cost reserves analysis is also loaded through flat file. Loaded data can be verified on view screens. Item data can be viewed here. ASP values loaded from flat file. Reserve balance can be viewed here by choosing the current cycle. Loaded demand data of current cycle can be viewed here. View screen facilitates to edit current demand quantity also. Once the input data is loaded, then provisioning process is launched and status is monitored in Status tab. Refreshing to check the status. Provisioning process is finished and review of results needs to be done before GL publish. Engine recommended provisioning and final reserve balance can be reviewed. Demand allocation from org to sub-inventories can be viewed here. Aging calculations done by the engine can be observed. iReserves facilitates stakeholders to update the final reserve balance. First step is to export the results. Filtering out rows that needs to be updated. Updating new reserve balance with proper remarks. Once done, file needs to be saved. Updated file needs to be imported. Status tab indicates once file is imported. Imported reserve balance can be reviewed again in this screen. Filtering out records that are updated. Results show only those records that are updated. Values can be changed in this screen also. Once saved, next step would be launching of GL calculation process. Process is done. Utilization GL screen would show the GL entries created by the material transactions. Balance sheet entries can be seen, and expense account entries. Every screen has an export functionality to export the results in the form of Excel sheet for further analysis. Provisioning GL screen will show the GL entries of provisioning recommendations by the engine. Once the results are fine, GL entries can be published to EBS. Published results summary can be exported in the form of Excel sheet. These are the entries created in EBS. GL entries created in EBS can be viewed in Oracle applications. Separate entries for provisioning and utilization would be created. These are provisioning unposted account entries. These are utilization unposted account entries. As shown at the start, iReserves provides graphical analysis of data. Graphical analysis would be done based on various KPIs provided by the engine with various filters. Comparison can be done with the previous run data. When selected, graphs would be displayed in comparison mode. Same for the quantity analysis. Trend of reserve quantity can also be viewed. Admin tasks can be done using this link. New users can be created using this screen. iReserves is a role-based security module where custom role can be created. Each role can be assigned the required functionalities and also whether it has the editable privileges or not. Users can be assigned to corresponding role. This marks the end of our demo. Thanks.